Okay, I'd like to start by saying thank you so much for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. I suppose we should start right at the beginning. So, how did your love of being on stage begin?
Wow, we're going way back to the beginning. I never really intended to end up on stage. I
Hmm.
never thought of myself as a performer, and I never really was someone who was pursuing performance until I was 21 years old. That was the first time I went on stage. I went to an open mic for stand-up comedy,
Hmm.
actually in Shanghai, China. And that was, I kind of stumbled into the situation, and I went to an open mic, got on stage, and was like, oh, I can do this and I enjoy this and this is maybe my creative outlet
Hmm.
now. Um, when I look back to my childhood, I think I was always trying to get people's attention in a creative way. I
Hmm.
don't think that always meant me jumping on, that didn't mean me jumping on stage, but I always liked doing puppet shows and cartooning
Hmm.
and doing things like that.
Hmm.
So I
Yeah,
guess
amazing.
creative expression goes back then.
So obviously you said you started sort of stand-up comedy, and was that you writing your own material as well there?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So is that where your sort of writing journey began and how you got into writing your own things and creating your own experiences?
Yeah, I would say writing performance comedy
Hmm.
definitely started with stand-up comedy for me about 9, 10 years ago now. Before that, I wrote in a journal a lot. I
Hmm.
wrote short stories. I've always kind of been someone that needs to write things down to process them emotionally or to manifest them into happening. So,
Hmm. Oh, amazing.
yeah.
So obviously you've written Lieutenant Dr. Love for lonely people like you. So was the writing always sort of part of the plan you were going to pursue and sort of just ended up being on the stage yourself?
No, not necessarily. The character, Lieutenant Love Doctor Hadi McToddy, came to me sort of as a fully fleshed vision,
Hmm.
for lack of better words. Uh, the story is that I moved to Chicago after living in California for a few years, and I didn't know anyone in Chicago. I didn't really move to Chicago with a plan. It was just kind of an intuition that called me there. And I also quit my full-time job right when I moved. So as it ends up, when you are an adult moving to a new city where you don't know anyone and you're living alone and you don't have a regular job with coworkers, you get kind of lonely.
Hmm.
I was also single, of course, romantically, and I was collaborating and meeting with different artists who I met on Craigslist. And I was talking to a photographer who I met, and we were talking about doing a photo shoot together. And she was saying to me, well, there's not really a lot of like characters doing sidewalk interviews, man on the street style content in
Hmm.
Chicago. This was a few years ago. That was starting to kind of blow up in New York, but no one was really doing that in Chicago yet. So she said, maybe that's something we could explore doing. I could help you film some man on the street
Hmm.
style content. And I had been posting on my Instagram stories about winking, saying, oh, I'm going to wink at a stranger today on my walk to a comedy club. I'm going to try to wink at someone on the bus or whatever. And people were rooting me on because I was really frustrated with trying to online date. And so I was like, okay, well, maybe that's something. Maybe we try to bring back winking. Maybe we try to bring back hitting on people in real life.
Hmm.
And so I started staging the grassroots movement to revive human connection. And that took the form in Chicago as these man on the street style interviews that this very kind photographer that I met on Craigslist helped me film. Um,
Hmm.
so that was it started as the character
Okay.
doing a bit, not really for anything. Honestly, yeah, if we're being honest, in the very beginning, my goal was to get dates. I was I posted up outside of Trader Joe's, like grocery stores,
Hmm.
and was trying to meet young men. And I'd say, hey, this is the grassroots movement to save human connection. If you support the movement, here's a clipboard. Give me your phone number. And then I would call them and see who would go out with me.
So I
Um,
read online that your show, like you said, there is all about connection and sort of
yeah.
reviving the sort of human connection. So how do you implement that into a show? How does that sort of get introduced into being on stage?
Yeah, so my idea for the show, I guess, sorry, I didn't mean to, I'm going to take one step back. So it was
Okay.
the character on the sidewalk, and then I met another performer who was developing a variety clown style show. And
Hmm.
he was working with the Blue Man Group. It was kind of in the style of Blue Man, outrageous, musical, whatever. and he asked me to do an opening bit as a stand-up comedian for his first show ever in Chicago. And then I stayed and I watched the rest of the show. My mind was blown because I'd never seen any type of
Hmm.
performance like it. And I said to him after the show, I said, "Hey, I think I have kind of a character. Like maybe it's clown, maybe it's just a character. I don't know what it is. Can we see if it works in this show?" And so from there, I wrote a 5 minute segment
Wow.
for Lieutenant Love, Dr. Hottie McToddy. So again, it started as the character, and then it became a 5 minute segment that I was doing in this variety show for a year and a half. And then a year and a half later, it became a 50 minute, 1 hour solo show. So then I wrote more of it.
Hmm. Wow.
Um, and that man that I met is now my husband. So that's a fun tidbit.
Wow.
Yeah. So Lieutenant Love, Dr. Hottie McToddy did help me find love after all.
Fine.
I guess, sorry, going back to your most recent question. So when I was writing the show, I was thinking, how can I address human connection and sort of train the audience to how to do it?
Hmm.
Not, in a condescending way, but if we go through the steps of very low stakes connection to higher stakes. So starting with something like making small talk with someone,
Hmm.
making eye contact with someone, winking at someone, and then raising the stakes a bit to, having a dance party, to going on a date with someone, getting rejected by someone. And so the
Hmm.
show format loosely follows that chain of events.
Ah,
Yeah.
fantastic. I think one of the strangest parts about Lieutenant Love Doctor Hottie McTotty, which is a mouthful, is that he is supposedly a time traveled back in time.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
how did that get introduced, and where did that come from?
Where did that come from? That's a good idea. I suppose as myself, as a person and as an artist, I am and sort of always have been very wary of modern technology,
Hmm.
i.e., social media, AI, sort of autonomous technology
Hmm.
integrating itself into our lives where we really didn't ask for it to
Hmm.
be. I was in school, I was the last person in my school to get a smartphone. I saw people start to use them and I could tell that they were addictive. People started checking their
Hmm.
phones all the time. And I just remember like intuitively feeling weird about that. I didn't like it. Um, so I think I don't know where exactly or when exactly the idea hit me, but it seemed like it would be most impactful to get the audience to engage with the message of human connection if I painted a very bleak
Hmm.
picture of the future. Hey, we're in a loneliness epidemic. Hey, there's all this modern technology and social media everywhere. We're all addicted to our phones. We're all looking at screens all the time. If this continues 50 to 60 years down the road, here's what it's going to look like.
Mm.
And so it is in your power as an individual in the present moment to adjust your actions and your behavior and stop this future from
Hmm.
happening. So that's where the time travel component comes in. It's
Ah,
also just as fun, it adds
yeah.
a sci-fi element to it.
Mm. And obviously, we've talked about sort of why you've come up with the character and the show itself, but obviously you are the solo performer as well in the production.
Mhm.
So before we get to the actual being on stage bits, what is it like creating your own show and then performing in it? It's like wearing those two hats.
I don't know any other way. It's all been blended for me, since I started doing stand-up comedy. You write your own
Mm.
stuff
Totally.
and then you get on stage by yourself. So performing with a cast or a troupe, which I did do when I first started Lieutenant lived in this world of
Hmm.
it's called Broken Planet Show, this cabaret variety show. That was the first time I'd worked with anyone else. And it was the first time, honestly, I'd worked with theatery people, people
Hmm.
who were trained in theater and performance art. And that for me was a big eye opener in how much I had to learn. And that was really great. I guess writing solo, performing solo, creating your own show solo. Again, I don't know any other way.
Hmm.
I just know how to switch my hats around. The thing that is really tricky is the production side of things,
Yeah.
being your own producer, saying, "Hey, I'm going to put on this show at this venue and I'm going to sell tickets." And that's really difficult to switch your head in and out of, business mode. So that would be the first job I would outsource if I could,
If I could,
when I
yeah.
can. It's a matter
Um,
matter of time now.
obviously, you talked about your sort of stand-up background. And obviously, for most people, doing a solo show, being the only performer on the stage, can be very daunting and very scary. Obviously, it must feel a bit easier for you because you've had that experience prior to taking this show to, the Fringe or on festivals. So, do you think this sort of comedy background has helped you prepare for taking this show?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. Um, I've gotten the note recently. I was just at the Boston Fringe. I'm currently in Atlanta doing the Atlanta Fringe. I did a short run in New York City, and then next week I'm headed to Vegas for the Vegas Fringe. So this is
Wow.
the summer of Lieutenant Love Doctor hitting the road and saving human connection. I got the note at the Boston Fringe that someone's favorite part of the show was when something went wrong, and
Mm.
I genuinely had to ad lib or
Mm.
address the weird thing that went wrong. I had a lamp that I was controlling and the lamp didn't turn on properly, or I had a prop cigarette and I forgot to, refill the fake smoke in the prop cigarette and it didn't,
Mm.
smoke didn't come out. Things like that. Or when I'm doing crowd work and I'm asking people questions and they say something that's unexpected
Hmm.
or whatever, how watching me navigate that they said was my favorite part. And
Hmm.
that's something I don't think I could do without stand-up comedy, without having done stand-up comedy for years and years and being forced to
Mm.
figure out and read the room when you're on stage by yourself.
Mm. You obviously mentioned there the audience participation sections of the
Mhm.
show. So, what is it like dealing with an audience that you don't know everyone, you don't know what's going to be said or what's going to happen next? How does that feel for you to include those parts into your show?
Yeah, I guess the alternative to an audience that you don't know is an audience that you do know, which would be my parents and them bringing their friends and me begging my friends to come to the show and fill the seats.
Hmm.
And that's like a nightmare scenario. I would much rather perform for anonymous people than, my family and friends doing me a solid and buying a ticket. Although I greatly appreciate that and
Hmm.
shout out to my parents and parents in general for being the backbone of alternative comedy. Um, yeah, there was, I guess, a good anecdote or a moment in one of the Boston shows I did. There's a point in the show where I go around and I say, we're going to go on speed dates. And
Hmm.
I ask people some really quick questions. What are you looking for in a romantic partner? Boom. And then I move on. What's your ideal for, excuse me, what's your idea for the perfect first date? What's your
Hmm.
perfect first date? Uh, what's your biggest red flag? And I say, what's your biggest red flag? And some people take that as, what's your biggest red flag about yourself? Or what's your biggest red flag you watch out for when dating?
Hmm.
Doesn't really matter. Just I say, what's your biggest red flag? And, people usually say something like, oh, I'm late all the time,
Hmm.
or I really hate when someone, you know, sings in the shower. No one said that, but something like that.
Good.
And this and this one woman, I said, what's your biggest red flag? And she thought for a second, she went, hmm, I guess that I was abused. And I was like, whoa,
Oh.
that is a genuine, someone who is abused has a lot of baggage. And
Hmm.
that's like that was heavy. And in that moment, I had not gotten a response like that before. I was
Hmm.
like, whoa. And I carry around little heart stickers that when people come up on stage and participate, I give them a badge, it's a heart
Yeah.
sticker. And I say that they've been promoted from cadet to
Hmm.
private. And in that moment, I wasn't quite sure how to handle it, but I said something genuine. I didn't try
Mm.
to pivot and make it funny. I gave her a heart sticker for, sharing or whatever, and then I moved on. And I was talking to someone after the show, and they said you handled that well.
Hmm.
If I had tried to make it funny or make a joke or something like that,
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
it would have been cruel, I think.
Mm.
Um, so those are the risks. You never know what people are going to say, and it's your job to maintain the energy,
Mm.
I guess.
Obviously, you mentioned their audience participation, and I'm assuming sort of the people in the audience take the placeholders of the people that are learning to communicate. But do you see people become better with communication skills during your show and as the show goes on?
Yeah, I kind of do. There's a point in the show where I pull two people up on stage to go on a date. They don't know that they're going to go on a date when I pull
Mhm.
them up. It's revealed to them. They're also pre-identified as single people. I make people wear wristbands, colored wristbands, when they walk into the audience.
Hmm.
So if they're wearing a certain color, it means they're single. So I take two genuinely single people on stage, make them go on a date, and I feed them lines like very typical first, second date questions. What do you do for work? Where are you from? Do you have any siblings? And it's interesting because I'll feed one of them a line, do you have any
Mhm.
siblings? And the other person will respond, yeah, oh, I have two siblings. And then I look at that person and I'm like, okay, it's your turn to ask the
Mhm.
question back. And that's sort of a muscle that has to be trained is the ping pong of, oh, if
Mhm.
someone asks you a question, you ping pong it back to them. And then I raise the stakes a little bit and I make them ask questions like, what are you hopeful for? What do you fear? Things
Mhm.
like that. And I'm trying there, to get past the cringy, canned, these are first date, second date questions to, hey, let's talk about something genuine and let's get to
Mhm.
know each other. And
Mhm.
for me, a really cool part or something that signifies that it was a successful show, and this happened on Saturday, is when people hang out and talk to each other in the bar or the lobby of the
Mhm.
theater after the show.
Wow.
And so the two people that I pulled up on Saturday to go on a date, they did their little speed date on the stage, whatever. It was
Mhm.
wonderfully awkward. It was funny. They did a great job. After the show, they were sitting at the bar together, talking, having a drink for at least 40 minutes after the show.
Wow.
And that made me so
Mm.
excited. That's really the goal for the show. I want it to be an icebreaker and an impetus for people to meet each other and just connect afterwards.
Mm. Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. Obviously, we mentioned earlier that you've done sort of taken this show lots of places. You are on a run of fringes at the moment, but you
Yep.
are returning to the Edinburgh Fringe this year. So I know you have done it before. So do you think there's added pressure returning to the Edinburgh Fringe?
Oh man, that's the big one.
Hmm.
Excuse me. Added pressure returning. Yeah, I suppose it
Hmm.
doesn't feel much like pressure, but every time you go, I'm sure, I mean, you've been going for how many years now?
No, it's my
Don't
first year
go.
this year. It'll be the
Oh,
first time I'm
exciting.
going, and I believe that your PR person has put me in touch, and we are penciled in to see your show. So I'm very excited. Yeah.
Good. Excellent. Wonderful. Oh no, you know all the secrets now. Okay. Well, are you in a relationship?
I am not, no.
Okay, well, you will be after. Um, Yeah, the Edinburgh Fringe is such a mammoth fringe
Mhm.
festival. I've gone 3 years now. This will be my third year, and it's just dipping my toe in it. Every year you learn something completely new. You're
Mhm.
blindsided by something you never would have considered being blindsided by.
Mhm.
So this is kind of the first year it feels like I have a grip on things a little bit.
Mhm.
It's also the first year I'm doing a full run of my solo show. So I would say that's added pressure is that every night for a month, minus August 18th, that's my one night off, I'm going to be on stage for 50 minutes
Yeah.
performing from an audience.
Oh,
Yeah.
fantastic. So we are coming to the end of my questions, but I do have a couple
Cool.
more. So how are you preparing for the Edinburgh Fringe? How are you getting ready for that journey?
Oh man. Well, I'm doing 32 shows in 5 American cities beforehand. I
So
think
keeping
that
it
that would,
quiet and
yeah.
relaxed.
Yeah. I'm having some deep reflection, some spa treatments. So there's that. I'm running the show as much as I possibly can
Hmm.
to address that variable of audience feedback. I want
Hmm.
to be on my toes and ready to handle any kind of question or feedback I get during the show as possible, that I can as possible. Um, Physically, I mean, this is maybe a little ridiculous, but physically, I'm training as well.
Hmm.
I'm playing a drill sergeant, so I
Hmm.
have to at least look like I'm in shape, and I have to be springy and agile on stage. So I've, made sure to physically exercise and train, most days.
Wow.
Um,
Mm.
yeah, I guess besides that, I'm just firing at all cylinders. That's kind of what
Hmm.
you got to do. It's just like interviews and social media posts and messaging
Hmm.
people and do a show, do a show, do a show, go to a yoga class, you know.
Mm. Oh, amazing. And so how would you describe the show to someone who's not heard of it before?
Okay, I would say Lieutenant Love Doctor's Boot Camp for Lonely People Like You is a 50-minute interactive comedy show slash experience
Hmm.
about ending the loneliness epidemic and reviving human connection. It has been described as part comedy show, part social experiment, and
Hmm.
great art all around. You will be challenged to meet people in the audience. And actually, I don't know if I like that because that makes people scared to go. Uh, I'm trying to get people off of their phones and open
Hmm.
to reconnecting with each other. in small ways and large ways as well. It's scary
Hmm.
to approach someone on the street and say, "Excuse me, do you have the time?" Or "Excuse me, do you know where, the grocery store is?" It's scary to do that instead of immediately going to your phone and trying to find the answer
Hmm.
there. It's equally scary, maybe even more so, to have an open heart and to say, "Hey, I'm open to finding someone that I could fall in love with, and I'm going
Hmm.
to go ask that person on a date." So I'm trying to get the audience to be open to all of those things and to feel brave and to know that the future is scary, but our actions in the present day can affect the world that we're making together.
Yeah, fantastic. And where can people stay up to date with you, and where can they get tickets for the show?
Yes, they can stay up to date with me on my two Instagrams. I have a personal Instagram that I've been maintaining for a while. It's Chloe.offline. So
Hmm.
CHLOE dot offline, OFFLINE. And you'll see all of my work there, including my stand-up, my cartooning, everything. What I had for lunch. It all gets it all gets posted there. And then there's also Instagram for the show. It's at LT Love Doctor. So LTLOVEDR at
Hmm.
Lieutenant Love Doctor. So that's the Instagram just for the show. I'm also on TikTok at Chloe Offline. I'm also on YouTube, Chloe Matonis. And I think that that's really it. The tickets, there's a link, of course, in my
Hmm.
Instagram bio. You can also find them on the Ed Fringe
Hmm.
website. You can also find them with Just the Tonic. That's the venue.
Hmm.
I believe the venue is called the Western Saloon, Just the Tonic.
Fabulous. I'll put all the links in the comments below so people can scroll down and click away. But my final question is, what advice do you have for young performers looking to do what you do?
Yeah, I guess young performers looking to do a solo show
Hmm.
or to go to the Ed Fringe, anything specific or
A solo show would be great because obviously that can
yeah.
be quite daunting to many people.
Yeah. It's I'm just start writing.
Hmm.
Writing is the foundation of everything. So start writing every day and don't tie too much expectation to your work
Hmm.
at first. Don't start day one sitting down, "Hey, I'm going to write a solo show about my
Hmm.
childhood and it's going to get 5 stars at the Edinburgh Fringe. Here we go now." You're going to be completely
Yeah.
stunted. Just start writing, see what you find, be open to it evolving, be open to it being messy. It is going to be messy. Things are going to go
Hmm.
wrong. And hopefully over time, you'll develop something that you can be really proud of.
Yeah, fantastic. So I said at the beginning, but I'll end the same way. Thank you so much for taking the time out to sit down and chat with me. As I mentioned, I'm really excited to see your show up in the Edinburgh Fringe, and hopefully we can have a quick chat up there if you're available. But I wish you the best of luck, and I shall speak to you soon.